Trust disconcerting. How you feeling?
Crappy.
I'm sorry.
I got a bad hip.
Oh, well, you should do something about it.
Yes, I'm talking to orthopedic surgeons.
Because, you know, we're coming up to Prime Days for holidays. Maybe you can, you know, take a deal on that.
You get a discount? Is that what happens? Hey. Good to see you. All right, where am I going? Move over one here.
Anyway, we've got two more scheduled. I don't know if they'll physically be here.
Let's hope they don't show up because there's no room.
Oh, come on, it's Weezy. We love
Oh, Weezy we want. Always Weezy. Weezy can sit on my lap.
And what does Will say about that?
He says, knock yourself out. I had dinner with the two of them last night.
I saw you there.
Oh, did you? Were you at that?
Let's discover. I was there standing there.
Oh, cool. All right.
Are you busy eating?
I'm always busy eating. In fact, I just wolfed out lunch because there was a mix-up with the meal cards or something.
You know meal cards a lot.
Oh, you didn't even get a meal card?
No.
Well, I'm in rarefied company.
All right, we've got another minute or so, so we'll see if the others get here.
Let's take some questions from the audience. What do you say, gang?
What do you want to know?
What do you want to know?
Anything.
Is there any innocent out there that I could seduce?
The one in the red shirt.
Bring her up.
Seduce her. Right.
You had me at Hello or something. What is that movie?
Yes, Jeremy Maguire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I thought was awful. I thought she was awful. Hey, Louise. Somebody grab it. Squeeze over here. We'll slide down. You got the remote mic or something.
Whatever.
All right. Is there a, are you the
I am.
narrator or the moderator or the?
When last we left. Okay, so we're here this afternoon to talk about Seduction of the Innocent as it has reached the rarefied age of 70 and its influence has waned, but is still like a specter haunting the comic history in the field. So we've got a lovely range of panelists who have some experience having dealt with the code as readers or as editors and creators. So I'll let you guys introduce yourselves. Ladies first.
Okay. Hi, I'm Louise Simonson. I worked for Marvel and DC and just about everybody else. Warren. Oh yeah, Warren. Don't forget Warren. Speaking of code or anti-code.
We were going to
I guess I've been doing comics since the dawn of time.
My name is Dan Parent, and I've been primarily associated with Archie Comics. I've worked for all the big guys too, but Archie's kind of my main gig. And yeah, we dealt with the comics code for many years at Archie. So.
Hi, I'm Alan Milgrom. I have been a cartoonist for many, many years. I worked editorially at DC briefly for 1 year, almost exactly, and then for Marvel another 5 or 6 years. Most of my career spent at Marvel, but I actually do have a funny code story about DC, which I'll tell you later. So, yeah.
All right, so let's set the stage. You know, German-born American psychiatrist. What?
You.
Me?
Yeah.
Who are you?
What's your
My name is Jean Valjean.
That's what they all say.
Bob Greenberger, former editor at DC, executive at Marvel, writer of stuff, and was one of the people who involved in sending material to the code for DC, so had some experiences there.
And apparently thinks he needs no introduction.
So anyway, Frederick Wertham was a German-born psychiatrist in the New York area, and he had been studying juvenile delinquency and its causes, and circled around to the notion that some violence that happened were from kids, and he found reading comics was a common denominator, despite the fact that everyone was reading comics. So he ended up writing the book Seduction of the Innocent, published in 1954. At the time, there had been a buildup of parent groups and PTAs who were feeling the comics were ruining their kids' minds, and there were comic banning and comic burning and stuff, all of which were feeding into this notion that comics, A, are for kids, and B, are bad for kids. And Wortham's book comes out in 1954. At the same time, Senator Estes Kefauver has impaneled a subcommittee to investigate the causes of juvenile delinquency. He was investigating 4 problems: radio, movies, comic books, and this newfangled thing called television. So it wasn't just hearings about comic books. You have to understand it was a larger issue because all of a sudden our kids were running amok and there were problems, and whose fault is it? Because we always need someone to blame. Sociologically, it seems to be these kids suddenly had leisure time since they weren't being drafted to fight in the war. High school became solidified as a thing not that long before all of this, and kids had leisure time and the economy was booming, so they had some money, and things
Comics were only a dime.
So between the Wortham book and the Kefauver hearings, which unfortunately did not go well.
Did that tie into Joe McCarthy's stuff too, or not?
Concur. So
Okay.
Joe McCarthy's House Un-American Activities Committee was also looking for communists.
Communists in the movie industry.
Anywhere. But focusing on entertainment because obviously they were rotting our minds in other ways. So just about anything that was fun was rotting us.
Yes.
But, a lot of the pre-code material has been reprinted and it's been examined and all that. As readers, did you think the books were as bad as depicted in his book or the Kefauver hearings? Were they really as violent and as, horrible for readers?
Well, the horror books were proliferating at the time. During World War II, superheroes sort of took center stage, and by the way, besides kids, a lot of our armed forces were reading comic books. They were available at all the PXs. They were cheap, God knows, and you could fold them up. I know, don't get excited. You could fold them up and stick them in your pocket or in your knapsack or whatever they were carrying around in the trenches with, wherever they were fighting. And, a lot of them were not the best educated. They were young, they were kids. They were essentially kids we were sending out to fight. And so it was easy and cheap entertainment, and they were being entertained by they liked the superhero stuff apparently, but all variety. During the 50s, in the late 40s and into the 50s, horror comics sort of got some hold in the public consciousness. And some of them were, they were pretty gritty, and the ECs were probably the best done, and in some ways, I guess, the most offensive. I mean, kids and people in general, they like scary stuff. They like to be scared, as long as it's fiction and they don't have to be in a situation where they could get hurt. I think it's a great outlet, but apparently all the guys in our government had to find something to pick on. The war was over. Although when did Korea start? 51. So we had another war. I don't know why they were picking on all these entertainment industries, but they were. And they interviewed William Gaines, who was the head of EC Comics, and they held up. And I mean, I'm sure you've all seen TV reports when Congress is investigating anything at all, and they're there to make their bones and show how they're looking out for the American public by trying to just destroy whoever they have up in front of them, whether it's a wayward politician or, in this case, Bill Gaines was. They said, Mr. Gaines, this cover, and it was The Vault of Horror, one of those books, don't you think this is distasteful? And it was, I think, the one with Santa Claus holding a severed head, and carrying an axe, and it was one of those good old, EC horror stories, probably by Jack Davis, I think. But the cover, and it's a severed head, a woman, I believe, and somebody, the guy is holding it in his hand. And he goes, no, I don't think it's in bad taste, and hard to defend, I know. And they said, really, you don't think this is in bad taste to you? Well, we didn't show any of the veins and bones sticking out the bottom of her head. It was a very neat cut. So, I don't think Congress was amused by that, but I thought it was funny as hell. So, I don't know. It was escapism stuff. I don't think it turned anybody evil. Look, I don't know if there's any horror comics even out there today, but you've got, you know, young kids, you know, going out and shooting up schools all over the country. It's so common now that you go, oh, that's a shame. You don't even think of it anymore because it's so common. So, are they all reading comic books? Is it, you know, these, you know, they're mentally unstable. They do horrible things. Comics didn't influence them, so I don't see, you know, but, you know, you can always make a case. You can find stuff worth him in his book. You know, he had, you know, Batman and Robin, they're, you know, he decided they were gay, you know. And I don't know, I read Batman and Robin as a kid. First of all, I didn't know what being gay would even mean. I had no notion. But it certainly didn't, you know, make me want to go live with some costume guy, you know. You know, I didn't understand how Robin, you know, he was like short and about this wide, and he could beat up grown men. And I said, you know, I enjoy superhero stuff, but I can't do that. You know, I like the guys with superpowers, so you know, there's no chance in hell you're going to even, you know, you have to get superpowers somehow. I knew that I was safe from that. So anyway, so yeah, it was a very weird, awkward time in America, and I guess they had little better to do than to pick on the various entertainment industries, and of course, comics were certainly the most vulnerable.
Right.
So.
All right, that's
Anybody
our
else?
time.
I'm sorry. That's all I have time for.
Any thoughts?
What was the question?
I don't know, but I can give you the answer.
No, you know, having read pre-code comics, were they?
I mean, it's hard to say, because now they seem sort of mild compared to the things that we see. I can see where, you know, if I was a parent, I might be a little concerned, you know, that's the job of a parent, is to make sure their kids don't read what you don't want them to read, not the government's job. But
Well,
I don't think the stuff is
opinions vary. Yeah.
yeah, but I find the stuff not offensive to me. And I look at, like, around today, I mean, you know, my kids and a lot of other kids love to watch horror movies and gory stuff, and it's escapism. Most of them aren't going out and killing people, most of them.
Yeah.
So I think people, you know, can deal with escapist entertainment and still lead, you know, full lives without causing any destruction.
Any thoughts, please?
Louise?
Okay, I didn't see a lot of pre-code comics.
Okay.
The only EC stuff I saw was after they had gone. One of my friends had a pile of comics under her brother's bed that were they were EC science fiction comics, and I loved them.
Right.
They were great.
Yeah. So honestly, the other stuff wouldn't have disturbed me either. I'd have thought, oh, because kids are like that. I mean, they look at stuff and they kind of go, oh, and they move on, mostly.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, if you
Yes. I'm sorry about it. Yes. Let me just say, I don't know if any of you are aware, there's a online site called comicbookplus.com, I suppose. But if you Google it, it's a site where they have all sorts of public domain comic books available to download and read for free. And I've been going and reading a bunch of stuff from the 40s and 50s, and it's a terrific site. They ask for contributions, but you know, that's up to you. But Comic Book Plus, it's a terrific site. I've been having a ball reading stuff that was before my time. I was born in 1950, so maybe I started reading comics at 7 or 8, I'm guessing. And you know, you can't see, you know, they don't have DC, they don't have Marvel, probably don't have EC either, but a lot of the other publishers, including Fawcett and Fiction House and Quality and MLJ, the early MLJ stuff, which was the precursor to Archie comics and so on. So I just wanted to give them a plug because I'm enjoying the hell out of it, and I am going to send a contribution. But you can read a lot of the lesser publishers' horror stories from that period. Oh, there's another one called The Horrors of It All, Blogspot, and they do mostly pre-code horror comics, And they post a new one, 2 or 3 times a week. And it's also a terrific site. And I was never a horror fan, but I'm finding it very interesting because they had some very cool and very, bonkers stories and some very good art and some less good art, but it's all interesting to me, and you guys might appreciate either of those spots, so check them out. Okay, I'm done.
Have any of the three of you actually read Seduction of the Innocent?
Not me.
No.
No.
I'm afraid it would ruin my mind.
I believe there was a facsimile, a reproduction, a new edition back in the 70s, I guess. I think.
That sounds familiar.
I did read it, and it was real interesting to see his take. And being German-born, he was aware of Nietzsche's thought of the Übermensch, the Superman, and he was applying that thinking to the Siegel and Schuster version. Wonder Woman of an Island of Women, so do with that.
Clearly lesbian.
Yes.
Of course.
Trustworthy.
I'll say it.
Suffering Sappho.
Suffering, and she did. She suffered, and of course she had the lasso of truth,
Right.
and so there was a lot of bondage on the old Wonder Woman books and covers and stuff like that,
Yeah.
and also the guy who created Wonder Woman was that Marston,
William Moulton Marston.
and he also invented the lie detector.
He was involved in that.
He was
Yes.
involved with it. So the lasso was just a portable lie detector that she could use because it made you tell the truth. And he and his wife had a relationship with another woman, and they were all living together. And I don't know if Wortham ever got wind of that stuff.
I think he was part of it from what I've.
Wortham was, yeah. Okay.
You want to share with the room?
Nope, that's it.
Wheezy's got inside information again.
Bill Gaines is noteworthy for his testimony, largely because it didn't go well,
No.
and it was later understood that he had taken diet pills, which was like taking speed,
Oh.
and he was crashing